This is the Voice of the Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to another edition of the Voice of the Land podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold. Alongside me, as always, not in a TV screen anymore.
Thank God. Thank God for that.
My brother, out of quarantine, Nick Paulus, and of course, our producer extraordinaire behind the proverbial glass, Peter Tellep. We are partnered with web streaming studio by LPV Productions and NEO Sports Network. And of course, our sponsor here for season 4 as we move into episode 5 of our 4th season here for Voice of the Land, DP Construction LLC. You can reach out to them for all of your concrete construction needs. 330-217-4999. That's 330-217-4999. Also reach out on Facebook. You can send them a message. I know that they'll give you some information right there. DP Construction LLC, or reach out to Tyler LaFrada. Wow, that's a tongue twister. That's a tongue twister, but a big supporter of the podcast. Been on our live draft, and I think he's coming on next week. He's going to be. I'm
hoping next week here for us. You know, we're going to get it all situated out, but really can't wait to have him on as well.
His Twitter handle is got Browns in the name, so it's like perfect because they'll be recording just before the first game of the season.
I think it's Browns guy Clee. It's like definitely give him a follow. He's a good follow as well.
Yeah, so DP Construction LLC, big Browns fans out there. So give them a follow and like their Facebook page, and of course reach out to him, tylerlafrada@gmail.com, for all the details on your concrete construction needs. Of course, you can find our podcast on social media as well, at VTL_pod on Twitter and Instagram, Voice of the Land on Facebook. Hit that thumbs up like button there on Facebook, and head on over to our YouTube page, at Voice of the Land Podcast. Hit subscribe, like, and turn on notifications for when we post all of our video content on there. Follow Paulus at CLE_Paulus on Twitter. Myself at Kevin7, because I always come through in the clutch. And you can follow LPV Productions and NEO Sports Networks across all social media platforms. Today, we are going to talk a lot of football because I'm going to be out next weekend. Yes. So while I will be watching the Browns game, don't worry. As much as I got, birthday parties, I got family parties to attend to next weekend, I already made sure. I told my girlfriend, look, we got all these parties. There's a way to watch this game next weekend, right? She's like, yeah, of course. We're going to be watching this game. Like, what do you think? Because she's a big sports fan too. So, I picked a good one,
You did. You did. That's the number one goal in life right there. We were talking beforehand, pick your battles, man.
Yes.
But that is right up there. Good call.
You're willing to pick those battles more when you get the right one to be alongside you there.
Absolutely.
So we'll be watching that game, but we're going to do a bigger NFL football kind of preview this week, and then if Tyler is able to join you or guest host next week,
right?
Of course, you guys will get into a little bit more and kind of the day before the game there, and we'll also talk. I know that the trade happened earlier this week, much earlier, and we didn't really get a chance to react to it. Had some reactions on Twitter, but trade of Mike Clevinger from the Indians. We're gonna kind of give our reaction and kind of what we think this could mean for the team moving forward. What already seeing some games under their belt with one of their starting pitchers, their plethora of starting pitchers off the roster. Like I said, we're going to start with football, and we're recording a little earlier today than we normally do. Usually we get in around 10, kind of have some long conversation.
Ease into it a little bit.
Yeah, get going. Like, we always say oh man, we should have gotten going earlier, and usually start like 11. We get here at 10 thinking like, oh yeah, we're gonna get this thing knocked out, get out of here, enjoy have a lot of time on Saturday. We still got a lot of time on Saturdays. We always have some fun.
Yeah.
But it's 8 a.m. that we're recording.
Yeah, what is it? 8:30 right now. So yeah.
And if you're wondering why we have so much energy, Paulus is already on his second Bang energy drink.
Number 2, so.
And I think it's rubbing off in this room. There's essence. The Bang energy drink essence is rubbing off. So
that's right.
We all got some energy right now. Peter and I were actually just out at a high school football game as we're doing high school football covering the Chagrin Valley Conference here in Northeast Ohio, and you're going to be joining.
I can't wait for this. It is going to be so much freaking fun.
You may hear your favorite voice in the land. You may hear those voices covering some high school football in your area coming very, very soon. I know, we're also recording earlier because Peter's got a game today. I got a wedding, so I can't call that game, but right. I know some great guys will be out there working the game. Shaker Heights versus Kirtland. That'll be a good game. Kirtland is a powerhouse of a team. Tiger Laverty is one of those great Northeast Ohio football coaches that has built a program at a school like Kirtland, that smaller school.
Sure.
It's somewhat of a smaller community, but they consistently win. They've already won 5.
Get the most out of the kids.
Yes, they've already won 5 state championships.
That's crazy.
Going for 6. This year it's a little bit different. 6-game season. Everybody makes the playoffs.
Right.
You can either go into the playoffs, or if you choose not to, or you just play your first playoff game, you still have the opportunity to play a couple more games to give yourself close to the typical 10 games. So any other teams that do bow out early, you can actually schedule some more regular season games just to get that working, because you want some of the younger guys to get that experience. And especially if you're trying to build a program, trying to get them some experience, but you also have the seniors that you want to give them.
You want to give them the opportunity to go out on the right, the right path. Yeah, absolutely.
And we know how much the seniors of 2020 missed out on their spring season. So OHSAA and the state of Ohio doing a great job and following all the protocols so everybody can have a season. But I am so looking forward to having you alongside me. Let me tell you, I enjoy, I guess that would be weird to say I enjoy hearing my own voice, but I enjoy talking sports, so it's easy to kind of fill a game, but it is a unique experience, to say the least, to do play-by-play, color commentary, and try to spot for yourself. We had the CVC commissioner was out at the game last night. We were at we're out in Middlefield, Ohio. Yeah, out in Amish country out there at Cardinal High School. Okay, as Independence traveled out there for kind of like a cross division matchup, and Independence won 36-6. Some big plays out there. It was they rotated 3 quarterbacks in, like they had one of the running backs take a snap, and their punt returner, kick returner specialist, and then they had like their typical quarterback, and they ended up with 4 quarterbacks taking snaps last night because they were up so big. Then they had like their backup to the backups.
Get the JV players in there. Yeah. Give them some time. Yeah, absolutely.
There were some big plays. Like they have so much speed on Independence's side. So like there was an 85-yard touchdown pass. It turned into an 85-yard touchdown pass, Peter can attest to, because you just dump it off, and
he just ran. Man. They do have a lot of speed. Yeah,
run, Forrest, run.
It was a real. The beginning of the game was close, and then it was just Independence just blew it open. And I was telling Nick before the podcast, I think about most of the second half was under a running clock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
and it was. And Cardinal has some talented players. They just, they as soon as they got down kind of close to the red zone, it was kind of just not able to really get the offense going. You see that from time to time. But, we had Don Lewis, the commissioner of the CVC, out there last night, and he comes up to me at halftime. He's like, one thing he comes up to me, he's like, how did you know that the kicker was now 1 for 2 on field goals? It's like, well, I tried to dig as deep for stats as I can. even high school kickers, I'm trying to get the stats for them, trying to represent these schools and make sure that they're well represented on the TV broadcast. But he's like, you know what? I'm gonna be your spotter here in the second half, because I don't even know how you're able to tell where the ball is and where it's going and doing all this stuff. It really is a unique experience. Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun though to have you to kind of work off of. And
I really can't wait for this, because I've always wanted to do, color commentating or anything like that. The John Madden role. Yes. So to the Pat Summerall. Like that's.
Do we need to get you the board?
Yes.
Boom. Tough acting to acting. Like that sort of stuff. Like I can't wait to go out there and do that. So, it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Whenever we get out there, and it's going to be a great time.
You may need to wear that shirt you got on there today.
Absolutely, the Voice of the Land T-shirt. We're gonna get a couple more of these. I really want to switch up color schemes and stuff like that here for us. So we'll definitely be getting a couple more shirts for you guys as well.
Oh yeah, and if you would have told us, like I would have wore the polo this morning. We could have done like cross cameras here. We could have had it working.
Promotions all the way through. Yeah, absolutely.
We may have to wear our polos out to these games.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that we should all do that. Yeah, there we go.
Like, what is that? Voice of the Land.
Voice of the Land. There we go. Sponsored by Bang Energy.
Almost.
We wish.
But yeah, it's gonna be an awesome time. Not sure where we're at next week just yet, but it's gonna be an awesome time to be on a broadcast together and calling some high school football action because we know how good it is here. We also have professional football just about ready to get going. We are less than a week away from the opening game, and with Kansas City already getting their rings, Patrick Mahomes
proposing,
kind of getting a ring and giving a ring.
That's right. Did you see how crazy that ring was?
Yes.
Save up, save up, Kevin. That is.
She listens.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, both of the rings look great. They both look fantastic.
Don't worry, you're not getting that big of a ring. It'll be nice.
Heartbreaker.
It won't be that nice. I don't got that Patrick Mahomes
$500 million deal.
Yeah, I don't got that. I don't even got half of that. So. I don't even think I have a percent of a percent.
Say, I don't think you do. I don't think you got a percent of a percent of a percent. So, yeah.
Oh gosh, that's sad.
Hey.
Oh,
one day.
Reality checks.
One day.
Reality checks are back here on the Voice of the Land podcast. Not for you out there listening. It's for us,
right.
The host of the podcast. But yeah, so football going to be getting going, and Browns start up just 8 days away in Baltimore. I think Ravens don't at M&T Bank Stadium. I think they've already said they're not going to have fans, or I think they didn't.
It was initially they said that they were going to do like 16%, capacity crowd, but I think that got washed away. So I think it is going to be fan free.
Right.
So,
yeah. So, and we haven't really heard in Ohio. There really hasn't been an announcement because they're going to play 4 days after this game, and I keep seeing the Browns Twitter account is putting videos out of how they're going to keep people safe.
Right.
Safety protocols getting in.
We know
20%.
No tailgating.
Right.
We know that for sure. So
no tailgating.
Well,
in the Muni lot, yes. Like there's people are going to find a way.
Oh,
like,
of course, people are going to try and find a way, but the
Yes.
Muni lot, the pit, like those places are going to be closed down. At least what we know about, and it makes sense. I mean, if you're not going to have people, at the stands, you're not going to have them tailgating a block and a half away. So
you're going to wake up next Sunday and like you're going to see tweets that were posted from like 6-7 a.m.
Oh, cake stands,
like yeah,
like you're going to see everything,
or like lines of cars being turned away at the Muni lot, like trying to force their way in, and and Cleveland police kind of they know what they're doing. They're gonna they'll handle that, but there's still gonna be that line to get in the Muni lot, or like and people just sadly just driving away. It's like people like get in the line, and as they get up to the person turning away, just see like the dejected just
no soup for you.
No soup for you. And it's just an exciting time, and there's still college football too. Ohio State was supposed to play Thursday, and I saw all the tweets about that, and of course there's still people saying that they have sources and that I don't know if you saw the latest like push for that. I don't want to really get into this. I guess I'm going to subtweet this guy right now on air.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call him out. Sir Yacht. He was tweeting yesterday that, by 7 p.m. tonight, actually, no, now it's going to be 24 hours.
I'm sorry, go on.
I wish people would stop listening to the troll. Like, even if it comes true, he's not right because he's said this for so freaking long that when it finally happens, he's going to be like, yeah, my source told me it was going to happen. That he's going to say, oh, it was supposed to happen this day at 6:30 p.m. and it happens 5 days, even 2 days after that at like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Be like, my source had just told me that. I was just about to tweet that it was going to come out.
Right.
That kind of stuff just blows my mind. But there really is a lot of back and forth amongst the actual like reporters. What's really going on?
Nobody even knows.
No.
Honestly, like, and I want to put this out there. I'm not the biggest Sir Yacht fan. I mean, I'm just not. Not my cup of tea, and that's fine. Like he might not be. I might not be his cup of tea, which is totally fine. I hope he's right. I want to see. I want to see football. I want everyone to be safe though as well. Mm-hmm. But if you're gonna play, high school and you're gonna play NFL, why can't college? Why can't the Big Ten? Right. So I am there with that. I just don't like the fact that he does keep pushing it out, saying like we're gonna have it this fall, and then they said, well, it might be in the spring. He's like, well, that's not what the commissioner said, and that's not what. And like maybe he does have a source. I'm not saying he doesn't have a source.
Right.
He's not making all of this stuff up. I don't believe that. But like I hate the deadline guy. I hate the deadline guy that goes, by Friday, we're going to hear something, and then it's Friday, we haven't heard anything. And then he goes, by Saturday, we're going to hear, by next Wednesday, by next, like, dude, just say that you have a source that thinks that, something might happen, and just leave it at that. But like he keeps digging himself into a grave, and and I don't want to see that for him, because I do know the pressures of what it of wanting to be that reporter, and maybe you not having the clout of being that. I mean, the guy has over 28,000 followers. I mean, he has a very large following behind him, and every one of those followers, and including us, want to see him be right. We absolutely want to see him be right. But my issue is that you keep digging yourself into this trench of just saying like, oh, it's going to happen today. It's going to happen tomorrow. Just tell me what you're hearing without a date. Because at this point in time, like you can say October 10th, and then, a couple of the reporters that have come out, that have 120,000 followers and the blue check marks are saying October 10th isn't happening. Right. A lot of people are coming out and starting to say that now. So like, I guess I don't need to have your source's name. I don't need to know your source.
We know that's not how that operates.
That's not how this works.
Right.
Okay. So keep your source hidden. I'm totally fine with that. But just let us know the details. That's it. I don't need to know like within the next 24 hours this is going to be said. You don't have to be that specific with it, because now you just look like an asshole.
Right.
Now you just look like someone that is just randomly throwing crap at a fan.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see that for that kid. I really don't.
And we're trying to give advice here too, because we know, yes, he puts out funny content, funny videos that, again, not my cup of tea either. Sure. Like I'll just be honest, I don't find a lot of it nowadays funny, but I understand his stance, and he's got his podcast going.
I get his brand. People love him. And like, I'm all for that. Once again, we're all in this business to try and get, noticed and trying to promote ourselves in order to get better jobs and better things to go along with us. We want to be in the sports broadcasting business just like he does.
Yeah.
We're all working together for that. And if you got a source and you want to try and promote yourself and get a rep for that, great. But put out the content that is true. Yes. Don't just start making up dates. Don't start saying like oh, it's going to happen tomorrow. 100% sure it's going to happen tomorrow, and then within a week you'll look like a douchebag. I don't want to see that for anyone.
Right, because he's already had to backtrack and right. And he is trying to legitimize himself, just like we're trying to legitimize ourselves and continue to grow in the industry. And we're taking different paths.
Yes.
He was able to get that Twitter clout and now, has the following, and he has a source. And again, I, just like you, it's not that I don't believe he has a source. Like, I believe he has a source. Whoever that is, again, that's not how that works. You see it all the time from everybody with a blue check mark. They don't ever reveal their sources. they go through at least a couple sources to legitimize a story if they're going to try to bring something big out.
And that's what I wanted to bring up, because there's a rule at ESPN Cleveland that I've even been told this. You know, if you have a source, like if you have information about something breaking, I did at one point in time. I had something to where I truly believed it was factual, but I only had one source, and I told a couple of the people that we were working with what was going on. It was the Josh McDaniels to the Browns, and I found out that through one of my buddies, his buddy. Knew that Josh McDaniels was going to turn down the Browns before, like a week before it was announced, because they had talked to his family and everything like that, and it just didn't seem like a right fit. It was from my source. Okay, now I didn't have a secondary source for that. And that's something that you absolutely need to have in this business. You need to be able to be backed up by at least two sources, and then you're able to roll the ball that way. I didn't have that. So we didn't announce it, right from there. And plus I'm early, in my stage of my career as well, where I could have just thrown that together, as well. Yes. And it wouldn't have made any sense, but I trusted the person, and it ended up being right. So it is what it is. And I'm sure he has, his source, he 100% believes is right as well. But you need to be able to back that up, and you need to be able to get those dates correct. And that's my biggest thing is having, saying it is going to be said date on this time and go from there. I don't like that.
And even just going by, because I believe his name is Joey, going by, because he was trying to get that blue check mark, and he said, in order to get verified, you have to have at least your real name indicated in your Twitter name, something like that, of that ilk. And he started using that, then went back to Sir Yacht. So he's going with the character or the brand that he's built, and there's no issue with that. But if you are trying to legitimize yourself, you do need to be able to disconnect or disassociate yourself with. You can still be that character. Yeah, it happens in WWE all the time. There are legitimate people, real people. It's not Seth Rollins. His name is Justin or something like that. It's not Roman Reigns. It's Joe Anoa'i, and you got Dwayne Johnson. He's not The Rock,
right?
And I remember seeing a funny late night clip with John Cena, and he was saying look here, He-Rock, if that is your real name. Kind of playing off of that stuff. But so if you're going to legitimize yourself, you need to be able to kind of show the multifaceted side that you have. If you got the great Twitter content for some funny stuff, to kind of get into that realm, great. And you got information and sources.
People have made careers out of that.
Absolutely, and you can have different elements to what you bring to the table. That's what makes you. What makes us is what we try to do on this podcast all the time. We're not people are going to just come into these mics and yell all the time. We're not going to try to be someone else. Yes, we have influences in this industry, but you're not going to try to be someone that you're not. You want people to listen to you, or in this industry, sometimes you make it when people that are coming back at him that are, kind of downplaying it. If he ends up being right, that's great that he has the best thing that, and you even said it when I got a comment on Facebook about someone, kind of criticizing me for one of my takes. That is what you're looking for. Yeah. But you want that to come from who you are and not just forcing it out there, because people can tell when you're forcing it. And right now it feels a little forced.
Yes.
And I'm hoping he's right. Legitimately, all our best from VTL to Sir Yacht and his podcast, the Yacht Club. I know he goes on that in the backfield. Yeah. Podcast as well. Sir Yacht's mad or something like that. He's got that segment on there.
We want to see him succeed. Yeah. Absolutely. That's all we want.
Because we want Ohio State football.
Well, that too. And that's we want Ohio State football as well, right?
But we want it to be done safely. We understand why the Big Ten went the route they did, but they went too early. And the issue right now is that you don't have much coming from the commissioner and Kevin Warren or the presidents, and then you hear maybe they make a comment, and it's there's something underlying you have to read into it.
Sure.
And there's back and forth information even amongst the blue check marks on Twitter. But you have other colleges going to be starting up, and you have, I think there's a big game, BYU Navy, I think next week, not this weekend, but next weekend. Some of the lower level FBS and FCS schools have started already. Frank Gore Jr. Frank Gore is still in the NFL.
Georgia Southern.
Yes.
Yeah, Frank Gore Jr. I think he's like 5'8", 200 pounds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, hey, good luck. Good luck to him. But I mean, his father is still kicking it. Still kicking the tires in the NFL, which is 100% ridiculous.
We talk about hoping Bronny gets it. Like
right.
LeBron's able to go long
right.
enough. Like his goal is to go long enough for Bronny to have the chance, or to be at that point in his life where he has the chance to go to the NBA. Imagine if Frank Gore is still in the NFL when Frank Gore Jr. has a chance to get to the NFL and gets drafted by a team. I mean, like that's just. Frank Gore is the exception to the rule for all running backs.
He really is.
He just keeps on going, legs keep on churning. He's sticking it out in the NFL.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
He might be.
Yeah. Longevity-wise, you'd have to think that he's...
But it's going to be it would be a few years that he's on the ballot before he's voted.
Yeah, he's definitely not a first-round, a first-ballot Hall of Famer. I don't believe that. But, I mean, here are his numbers. He's been playing since 2005. I was in high school. I was still in high school.
I was in 8th grade.
Right. He's middle school. That is nuts. Okay, so here are his...
That was a rough time.
Here's his career highlights. Do you know where he plays right now?
No.
Just signed with the Jets.
Okay.
And they're talking about doing a 60-40 split between him and Le'Veon Bell because he's looking as good, if not better, than Bell. Wow. So it's ridiculous. But 5-time Pro Bowler, okay, second team All-Pro, All-Decades team, 2010 All-Decades team. That's been a decade.
Yep.
BCS national champ and third most rushing yards in NFL history.
Yeah.
The guy has 15,347 yards. No, obviously no Super Bowl ring, but he was on the Super Bowl team with the 49ers when they lost to the Ravens back in, I believe, 2013, 13.
Right.
So, I mean, he
averages 1,000 yards.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been fantastic. I mean, his entire career. I mean, does he churn out some years? I mean, over the last probably 6-7 years, and it's all been 800 or below yards, but it's still that's a lot of yards for a 30. I think he's like 37 years old. It's crazy.
I mean, to see 15 years for a running back. I mean, these days
you don't see that.
You're lucky if you get 10, maybe 9 out of a running back, but you're still getting Hall of Fame level career numbers for these running backs because they are so good so early, and they're putting up 1,500 to close to 2,000 yards, back-to-back seasons.
Yeah.
You got guys like Ezekiel Elliott, and even here with the Browns, Nick Chubb, who puts up big numbers, and Alvin Kamara. I know there was talk of him being traded and now being kept with the Saints, but running backs like that now can do so much too, like because they're so involved in the passing game, and NFL offenses are spreading things out so much more.
Yeah.
And running backs can do so much more, but it's a lot of wear and tear on the body to be that workhorse as a running back. So to see 15 years is just insane. Like we would love it if Nick Chubb is here for 10, and he's going to be a focal point of this team. And, yes, we want to see college football. You wonder why some of these leagues haven't kind of, I guess, as bad as they may look, rescinded their decision and had a plan to come back, or even come out, even if it's the spring season, you're coming in January, why there's no initial conversation. Like, you should be setting that up already. I know it's only September, but that's going to come at you quick. Yep. And if you really feel like you've done the right decision and keeping people safe, and the area that you're playing your main games in is not as safe as some other leagues that may be able to have some success, and you're going to have a spring season, you better get that plan together. Or if you're thinking of coming back sooner, like reports have kind of gone back and forth amongst a lot of people, there should have been a plan coming out already for that, because teams need to get back into camp. They need to get, I know that athletes are able to work out, but it's not the same because you're not ramping up for games.
Yeah.
So practices don't have that same energy. They don't have that same vibe to them. So we're hoping we see Ohio State football. We hope Sir Yacht is right. We hope that Big Ten has a plan and they can come back and, maybe not necessarily be a part of the college football playoff, but have some sort of fall football. Again, like you said, if high school can do it, if the pros can do it, and then SEC, ACC, and Big 12, if they end up having a successful season,
sure,
that's going to look bad in the Big Ten.
Absolutely will.
We've talked ad nauseum about how we felt like it wasn't going to happen because of the way COVID-19 was going. Keep athletes safe. They find a way to do it, and with all these college campuses, Alabama's got like thousands of kids, thousands of students testing positive.
Yeah.
And we haven't really heard anything with that, with the
football players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, haven't really had any tests just yet. NFL hasn't traveled yet, but they haven't had any positive tests. High school, I know we've had a couple positive tests. A couple programs have had to shut down for a week, but they've gotten back going. Strongsville was shut down. They're back going. Mayfield's back going again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not extending and it's not being spread because people are following the protocol. So if they can do it, college football should be able to do it, and you should have waited to have kids back on campus to do that. NFL will get going, though, and we are really excited for the Browns season. We are tempering expectations. Browns play in Baltimore next Sunday, September 13th. I believe that's a 1 o'clock kickoff.
It is.
And Baltimore, the AFC North champions last year with MVP Lamar Jackson. Of course, they have Mark Ingram at running back, but also now J.K. Dobbins. We saw at Ohio State a lot. Browns come in with that same offense, some added weapons there. Where I know we kind of talked about this last week, but we didn't really have a lot of time. As we sit today, as we get prepared for game week, where do your expectations sit early in the season, knowing all the circumstances that this new coaching staff has been under and only being able to have training camp, no off-season program except through the computer? Where do your expectations sit? Do you think that they can get off to a hot start, or do you think it's going to take a little bit of time for this Browns team to get going?
I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Now, whenever I say that, I'm looking from the standpoint of I 100% truly believe this coaching staff and talent that we have is the best that we've had in the last 20 years. And that's including the 10-6 year with Romeo and Derek Anderson. We almost made the playoffs then. We made the playoffs in, 2002?
Yes.
That was with Butch Davis and Tim Couch and
Kelly Holcomb.
Kelly Holcomb, thank you. But I believe Baker and Kevin Stefanski, and now, once again, Kevin Stefanski, rookie head coach, not 100% sure exactly what's going on. But, he was moving up the ranks over the last 10 years, with a Vikings team that, made the NFC Championship game with Brett Favre. And, he's been on that staff. He's seen, that sort of thing. And then he was also on the same staff with Case Keenum, whenever they took him to the NFC Championship game against the Eagles just a couple years ago, 3 years ago now. So, he's been steadily moving up, and he finally took over the offensive coordinator position last year for the Vikings. They actually had a really good year. Kirk Cousins had probably his best year ever, and that's with Hurt. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs wasn't himself, all the way through last year. Dalvin Cook had a career year.
Yes.
So you're seeing a lot of things moving in motion with with Kevin Stefanski as the coach. Now he comes over here. Baker's had his issues in training camp from what we've heard and what we've seen a little bit. Are there interceptions here and there? Yeah, but we knew Baker's a gunslinger.
Yeah.
So you going into this, if he can cut down on the interceptions a little bit, just a little bit, cut it down from 21, cut it down to 15. Like I'll be happy with that. If he goes 30 and 15, touchdowns to
2-1,
2-1 interception ratio, I'll take that all day. And I think everyone in Browns Nation would take that as well. But I truly 100% believe that this is the best talent and coaching staff that we've had together, molded together, in the last 20 years. But we are going to start off a little rougher, I think. I think, against the Ravens, at the Ravens, with no fans, it doesn't feel like as a daunting task.
Right.
Because now it's just team against team, But, against the Ravens, I truly do expect a loss, as we lose every home opener, season opener. So I think that streak sort of continues. But then you have the Bengals, you have Washington, and then you have the Cowboys, Colts, Steelers, Bengals again. Like, there are some winnable games there. So I am truly looking forward to seeing that happen. But I mean, if you're 2-2, going into the Colts game. So I'm firmly expecting us to lose to the Ravens at Baltimore, but then we beat the Bengals at home, and then we beat Washington at home, and then you have the Cowboys, at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a loaded roster, but they have a new head coach, as well, so I think that it's a definite possibility that you could come out of there as 2-2 or 3-1. And if you're 3-1 going into that stretch, that's awesome. But I don't want to say like, it's easy. Last year we were saying it's easy. Just walk out on the field, people will lose to you. That obviously didn't happen.
Right.
So I'm tempering expectations a little bit, knowing that it is a young staff. We have some young talent, but we do have the talent. So I do expect us to win a couple of games and then, kind of feel our way out, after 4 to 5 games.
Peter, early on in this season, how much success do you think this team can have with everything stacked against them in terms of putting in this new system and not really being able to get together until very recently, the last couple weeks?
I think it's going to be a rough start, honestly. I mean, I'm still, optimistic, because that's just how I am. I'm always going into the season hoping that they're going to, just have a fantastic season. But I think, new scheme, new head coach, not a lot of time to, practice, to gel. I think the first couple games they're gonna be rough.
Yeah.
But I do have to disagree with Nick that 2 years ago we did not lose the the opener.
True.
We tied.
That was the most miserable game I've ever been to in my entire life. That was my first. I bought season tickets that year, and after going 0-16, and thank you for bringing that up. Tailgating, that was one of the best tailgates that I've ever been to. And then we go into the game and it just starts pouring. And it was raining at tailgate as well, but It wasn't that bad. And then it was just that miserable downpour.
Floodgates open.
Right. It was just that moment. And Tyrod Taylor's the quarterback. You want to see Baker, and then they made the comeback, and then it felt like after tying with the Steelers, just felt like you're kissing your cousin. It's oh God, we had to tie the Steelers, but hey, I mean you're not wrong.
we didn't lose.
We didn't lose.
We didn't win.
But we didn't win.
So yeah, I mean I think it's gonna be a rough start, but I'm again hopefully optimistic. That they prove me wrong. I think it's going to be interesting with no fans, because you're right. It takes that element out. So, I mean, that may be a big advantage to the Browns, that they're not having to face, the opposition's crowd.
Right.
Before I dig in here on my expectations, the most Cleveland fan thing ever. The year after the Browns go 0-16, this guy buys season tickets.
I thought it was,
that's how loyal Cleveland Browns fans are. We go 0-16. We have hit rock bottom.
Yes.
Can't do worse.
And I'm gonna break the bank to buy season tickets.
We went 1-31, and I'm like, you know what? Season tickets sound good.
I hope you got a deal.
I did.
They can't get worse, right?
They can't get any. Imagine
it's the perfect time to buy them.
Imagine doing it after 1-15. They can't get worse, and then you go 0-16. You're like, son of a bitch. No. After 1-31, I'm stooped down and do that. But no, we had a great deal. Tyler and I, we went in on it. The moment that we were like, you know what, there we go. we got Jarvis. Literally the next day. We call up the team shop or whoever it was, and we told them, we're like, okay, we'll put it down for that.
Man, blessing them before blessing was cool.
Not even joking. I think it was like $650 for our tickets, and like it's opposite Dog Pound and end zone, but it was great seats. I loved having those seats. I've given them up since then, but because I was working with ESPN last year, I'm not doing that much this year with them, so
right.
It's unfortunate, but now I'll be able to watch the games. Like literally watch the games and do everything like that. So that'll be a lot of fun. But 0-16, I stooped down and grab some season tickets.
Browns team is at their lowest. Buy.
Well, you buy stocks when it's down, right? You don't buy at the peak. You buy when it's
7,
down.
8-1 that year. I thought that was a great time.
You may want to get in that stock market there.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
I was at that game too, and I don't know if you remember Lewis Smith from OMS as well. Yeah. He had bought tickets that day, and unfortunately, his mom kind of had some serious health issues. He had to leave early, but buddy Brett Gillen and I we stayed because they didn't. Sure. Him and his brother didn't want us to go with them. They just kind of ran out and didn't know what was going on. So prayers still out to him, and hopefully Lewis. Hopefully you're well. So thank you so much for getting me to that game, and then Mac Robinson getting me to the
Jets game.
The Jets game
got you on SportsCenter.
Yeah, well, I got myself on SportsCenter on ESPN NFL Countdown.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, yeah.
See, when we
screaming into the phone, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
See, what I was supposed to do when we did that fun topic of favorite moment we've been a part of, live.
Yeah.
I was gonna do that.
Sure.
I had that planned, and then we kind of had a couple weeks off, and I came back and thought about it a little bit more because I was gonna we were gonna do post the videos, the preview, and everything. Just my ugly mug on. I was getting ready that Sunday too, and it was weird. I was getting when they ran that story about the Browns kind of on the comeback.
Yeah.
And I'm getting messages from people I hadn't gotten messages from on Facebook Messenger. It was and I've used Messenger more now since that point than I was using it back then.
Yeah.
And I'm getting their video attached from this person, and I watch it, and it's a screenshot of Sunday NFL Countdown, the story. And I thought they were just sending me a special clip from it, and oh, did you see this? Just randomly, and then my face pops up, what? Is that me? Wait, why? That's
why am I on there?
That's the ugliest way to make my ESPN debut. I guess it can only get better from there too.
That's right.
So
absolutely.
May have to post that. I'll repost that for everybody there as once we get the podcast out there. But for the Browns this year, 2 years removed from kind of trying to make that culture change, I think it's going to be rough too. And I think they are going to lose the opener because they don't really win openers. They may tie. They may not lose all the time. They may be able to tie, but they don't win openers. And especially this year, I don't see this could have been the year to break that streak. All the circumstances against them, I just think it's going to be so tough to ramp up. But the crowd noise or lack thereof will be a big key.
Yeah.
You hear baseball players and basketball players the amount that they're actually hitting that dump button on the NBA broadcast in the bubble, but on baseball you hear the communication out there now. That's going to be kind of cool because of all of the NFL films and the microphones that NFL uses. I'm sure there's not going to be as much because you're going to have limited media. They're going to have to space out, but with less people in the stands or no fans in the stands, I'm sure media can go in there, and the microphones are so powerful that they can pick things up. So what are we going to hear? Not necessarily, I know that there's going to be some funny stuff that we hear and some things that, you don't.
We couldn't have had this last year to hear if Miles and Mason would.
Right.
I looked right at you, Peter. What? Yeah, that would have been nice to have.
What do you mean there's no audio from that?
Right.
That's still insane to me. That's still absolutely insane to me.
And we're over it now.
We're
Miles got his contract. He's coming back. We don't have to worry about anything else going down like that. But 100% ridiculous. Let's be honest. I just want to know. Did he say it or not? At this point in time, we're never gonna know.
Right.
We'll never know. But moving on.
Yeah, but I mean, going off of that though, some guys are going to have to watch it though, because I'm sure there are things said that could get them, could get them in trouble in terms of kind of how they're trash talking someone else or things like that. I think it's more so it's going to be unique to kind of hear that communication, that cadence from the quarterback.
Sure, yeah.
What that different cadence actually sounds like, because we're used to hearing like Peyton Manning saying Omaha,
right.
Like that would come across, but not the whole thing, or communication among offensive linemen.
There are moments though where, like Cam Newton a couple of years back, whenever he was directioning McCaffrey, he started calling an audible, and Clay Matthews, for the Packers at that point in time, was like wheel route. And he's like, oh, I see you've been studying. He's like, oh yeah, watch this, and then throws the touchdown. Like it was perfect. It was such a perfectly timed thing, and they caught it on audio. But it's one of those things where I guarantee you we're going to hear a lot more trash talking whenever it comes down to stuff like that, and I can't wait for that because it's going to be so much more fun to see the personalities out on the field. Like you always hear stories of like Phillip Rivers. He gets hit. And he's like, dag nummit.
Yeah.
He doesn't curse, but he says like dag nummit all the time. Like I love that about that guy.
Yeah. NFL, CBS, Fox, ESPN, they're going to have to get the dumb button ready too. But
for sure.
There's going to be a lot more fun moments with that, what you're going to hear. And it'll be a unique experience to watch the game that way. We want fans to be in the stands.
Yes.
I think that makes the pressure on this opening game a little bit easier on the Browns, though, because you don't have that crowd going against you and causing that issue to maybe go on a silent count, or and you haven't even gotten that communication down. They just finished install, so they don't have it as second nature yet. Well, and I think that's where the issues in training camp are coming from for Baker. And Case Keenum does have experience in this offense, and most of the time he's going against the backups, but he has experience, so he knows where the options really are and what may be open to him should a play break down.
Yeah.
Baker and the main offense just getting the verbiage down themselves, probably trying to force things and probably forcing things too much. You just don't want that to then get in his head and think about, what if this is last year?
Right.
I don't think it will.
I was going to say, I have zero concerns about Baker's, mindset this year. I truly, he dedicated himself in the offseason, and we all made fun of him, Fat Baker and everything. I'm Fat Baker now.
Yes.
But there were moments in time where we would look at Baker and we're like, man, he looks a little pudgy. He looks a little, he looks fantastic.
Yes.
He looks so good. And especially I saw a picture of his, him in the uniform, the brand new uniform.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Does he look good in that? He looks awesome.
I think Nick is man crushing here a little
Oh
bit.
my
Just
hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Is there a way to cut this on the podcast?
I'm going to make this its own segment.
Right, yeah.
The fan crush.
Maybe. Baker Mayfield. Man crush.
Did you draft him in fantasy? If you're got that big of a crush on him,
I didn't. We'll talk about fantasy here in a second.
Yeah.
But no, it's I love my fantasy team.
I mean, but yeah, I know. Yeah, you were texting me and saying you kind of liked my.
I like yours. I like yours. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it in a second. But just to finish off this Browns conversation, I don't think they win the opener. I think it becomes a little bit easier without the crowd there. And as this team starts to get this offense second nature, and Baker being the guy that can get out on the run, and having the tight ends now, and having a plethora of tight ends to throw to, I think we could hear Njoku's name as a cut today. But
I wanted to talk. Yes, there we go. Surprise cuts.
Yes.
Is that who you got?
I got Njoku as a surprise cut.
Me too.
I think that this team could be 2-2. I think, honestly, they have enough talent to get over that.
Yep.
With way Harrison Bryant has performed and was the outstanding player in camp.
Yes.
I think they can still be 2-2 in the first few games. But if they do lose that opener, 4 days later, that primetime game on Thursday night becomes must win, I think, because you don't want Joe Burrow, as good as we think Joe Burrow can be.
Yeah.
You don't want him to get his start like Baker got his start on a Thursday night and making his presence known. You want to make sure you're at least 1-1 through the first two games. If not, if you end up surprising everybody and winning on Sunday.
I think
2-0.
Right, and I think Njoku as a surprising cut.
Yes.
I think that is the guy that they should be looking at for a surprise cut. I also think if you want to dive deeper into it, you could look at someone like Chad Thomas. I mean, third round pick from a couple years ago, hasn't really lived up to the billing. Porter Gustin has been, exceeding expectations, so far. So, I mean, that is someone that you could look at, but surprising cut, I'm 100% with you. I think David Njoku is right there. And it wouldn't surprise me because, he'd get cut and then I think he'd probably sit for a little bit. I don't think a lot of NFL teams are rushing out to get David Njoku right now. So I think it proved that point whenever they were talking about wanting him to get traded, and then no one really wanted to trade for him. So I think that he could just sit out there, and you could probably pick up a different tight end that would match his numbers.
When I teased that before we came on and we were kind of prepping for the show, just finishing up prep, I was like, he's probably thinking the same player.
Absolutely.
He's
Absolutely.
got to be thinking the same player.
Yep.
Because Njoku, I've heard he's still not catching the ball in training camp, and
Harrison Bryant looks great.
Harrison Bryant has taken over that second spot, and they have some more depth there. They brought in other tight ends this offseason. I'm not going to be shocked. It'll be a big name that's cut, but I will not be shocked if he is let go after by 4:00 on the Saturday deadline. If you're listening on Sunday and he's already cut, and we
called it.
We knew. We knew. But we did mention fantasy. We had our draft last week. It was kind of a unique experience going through Zoom. We had to go through Zoom. Of course, you were still in quarantine. I had a high school football game to call. I had to get off to there, so you guys kind of helped me out and finished up my last few bench picks there, which I was totally fine with. I got through the first 10, so I got my main guys there that I needed. I know you told me I do need a little help running back, but a couple of your favorite picks that you got there, kind of your team that you're looking at there.
My team that I picked up, I had so we had a keeper. It was a keeper league. I ended up keeping Austin Eckler. He was my third round pick because he was I think ADP had him at 21, so I kept him. But so my team is Kyler Murray, Josh Jacobs was my first pick. I had pick number 7, so picked up Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler, Julio Jones, Juju. Had to get Austin Hooper. You and I, we were talking. You picked up, a couple of Browns before then.
Yes.
And then you picked up Gronk right before I picked up Hooper.
And I was thinking Hooper, but I was like, there's so many Browns, and it's that bye week that was already for a couple other players beyond the Browns team that you can't go. I think we gave this advice last year. You can't go fully based on bye weeks.
Yeah.
But if you have a bunch of guys, you start to get in that 5-6 player range of the same bye week, and you maybe only have 7 players, 7-8 players in your starting lineup, now you're really hoping that you picked up some sleepers on your bench once a lot of the bulk of the main fantasy talent is taken off the board.
Right. No, 100%. So, I ended up with Hooper, and then I have DK Metcalf. As my flex. On my bench, I got J.K. Dobbins, which we talked about last week as a flex, upcoming flex option there for us. Tyler Boyd, Kerryon Johnson, Jerry Judy, Justin Jackson, Carson Wentz, and Chris Thompson. So, and Chris Thompson's actually a good little solid pickup that I picked up after the draft because now Leonard Fournette got cut.
Yes.
Now they're going to be doing a running back by committee down in Jacksonville. And since we're in a PPR league, I mean, Chris Thompson was awesome a couple years back with Washington. So I think, he's probably going to be, Gardner Minshew's just a little dump off option because they have nobody on that offense.
Nobody, and they're not going to have much of anything on that team.
Right.
All you got is Minshew's mustache, and hopefully Chris Thompson doing what he did in Washington a few years back.
For your team, and I like your team. I actually like your team a lot. The issue, though, once again, I thought is the running back position there for you, and it's not saying anything against your like the remainder of your team. I like your team. You got Drew Brees, Saquon, Kareem Hunt as your number 2. Once again, I think more of a flex option, but
right.
The rest of your team, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Zach Ertz, Scary Terry McLaurin, Jarvis, Gronk, Paris Campbell. I like your team a lot.
Yes.
It's just you need to boost up that running back room.
Right, and it's something I'm going to be looking at this week before that first game on Thursday. Like, kind of doing some research on the different fantasy platforms,
right.
like
for
the
sure.
different podcasts and everything. Yeah. We're still talking about how we're going to kind of operate with fantasy this year. We always do an extra clip. Maybe we'll do some fantasy, or we'll just have a fantasy segment each week as well, and getting that out there. So, but it was a fun time.
Who's your favorite draft pick for your team?
My favorite draft pick outside of who I kept, which was Saquon, of course.
Right.
And I ended up with the 6th pick. Like, it was kind of originally set that way, and then we did Queen of Hearts. So basically, like, highest heart got to pick where they wanted to go. So like, you picked a card, then to then get your spot to then see who got to pick where they wanted to pick out of the 10 spots.
Right.
And then we went into the draft. So unique process to see that there. But favorite pickup was probably DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay.
Because he has been, and I know he's listed questionable right now, but I think with Kyler Murray out there and kind of being like he felt disrespected by the Texans by letting him go because he had, and I know that they are hurting there, like in Houston from not having Hopkins. Sure. And Watson, I know, is going to miss that target. But Hopkins has been a consistent, especially in PPR leagues, has been a consistent point scorer and kind of accumulating fantasy points for me throughout the weeks. He has been one of my consistent ones throughout various leagues over the last several years.
And just to finish up, I was actually, because I picked Julio right before you picked up DeAndre. My thought was going into the draft, I thought I was going to get Russell Wilson. Like, I was like, you know what? He's going to be there in like the 6th, 7th round.
I know.
And then, so I was banking on that. That's why I picked up DK Metcalf, and I was going to, play the combo card with that. But then Russell got picked up, so then I started freaking out, and I was like, you know what, I got to pick up somebody. I wish I would have taken DeAndre ahead of Julio, which I had the ability to, in the second round, and I didn't. I wish I would have done that, 2020 hindsight, for it, because it would have been the great little matchup between Kyler and him, and it would have scored me extra points.
We were on the same page the entire draft. Because like I would pick someone up and Nick would go like, dang it. Dang it. Or we'd say like, oh, that's a good pick because I was gonna, I was thinking about him. Or like when you picked up Hooper after I got Gronk, I was like, and I was really thinking about Hooper in this same exact round.
And I told you, I was like, I knew that you were going to go tight end. But like I started looking at your roster. I was like, you had Kareem, you had Jarvis. I was like, there's too many Browns players right there. You can't go with a third Browns starter. So like I knew I could wait to get Austin Hooper and go from there. You picked up Gronk.
Right.
And it's just exactly how it fell.
And those sound like homer picks too by getting Hunt and Landry. I gotta bless my team.
Yep.
You gotta bless them. But
of course.
But in a PPR league, it is smart in a 2 running back system with Hunt going to be that kind of pass catching running back out of the backfield as a flex option. Like it's just set based on
I like
who you
Hunt
picked up
more than Chubb this year just because of the PPR option.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the system's always just set your lineup once you like basically in the order in which you pick because you're filling the spots and then you fill bench, but you're picking up guys to be in different places. So I'll reorder all of this. And then Jarvis Landry is also that. Now, if this offense really gets going and really develops throughout the year, being in that traditional number 2 role, the number 1 leader, but in that number 2 hole, whether outside, being able to go outside, inside, yards after the catch, that type of element, that is huge
100%.
in a PPR league. Yak. Yak.
Those yak yards.
Yak is good for PPR.
That's
so,
right.
So looking forward to this season. Hefty buy-in, and right now projected just 1 point down from Mark.
And it's first game of the year, so nobody has any idea what these projections are going to be looking like.
Yeah, nobody knows, and especially this year, nobody knows what guys are going to look like coming into the season. Be interesting to see if guys look great. Yep. They go with this lack of preseason model and that moving forward in the NFL. Moving forward. Finish things out here, just real quick, around the horn here with the baseball talk. Reaction to the Clevinger trade, and after you've seen this offense with what they picked up, all the 6 players, not going through them.
Right.
You've heard them, and main one is Josh Naylor, is the one that's supposed to be for this year, and then you got talent for future years, as the Indians always do.
Right.
Reaction to the trade, and do you think they are better set up or in a worse position to win this MLB shortened season World Series?
I think that they are in an identical situation as what they were a week ago. I don't think that they got better. Future-wise, yes. Mm-hmm. Future-wise, they probably got better. But short-term, Josh Naylor doesn't do it for me. I was 100% hoping for a big bat. Like, I would have taken Clint Frazier. Like, you would have had to have paid extra to get him. But, I mean, we know that dude can hit. And that's what you needed from your outfield help. I don't think Josh Naylor's the dude, to put us up over the top. I think that we still need that. We're hitting 227 as a team. I need someone to come in here, hit 260, 270, but can mash.
Yes.
And that's what I was hoping to get. And we didn't get that player, so I think it's a disappointing trade. If you trade Clevinger, who has the capability of a Cy Young, you expect at least, production back like that. Josh Naylor doesn't do it for me. I hope I'm wrong. I've been going back and forth with Tyler. He's like, oh, you don't need, outfielders, don't change the course of World Series history. It's all about pitching. I agree with that. So if you weren't going to get the production back for it, then keep Clev. Then literally have the best staff in the league. I would have been fine with keeping Clev for that, but they want to talk about future because they're afraid of what could happen right now. Yeah. I don't like that. So
Peter,
I don't think they're in a better spot than they were before. I don't think they're necessarily any worse.
Right.
Like you said, I think they set themselves up for the future. I think they're, honestly, with the pickups, I think they're looking to protect against Frankie leaving.
Yep.
I mean, and that's, which is disappointing. I mean, it's disappointing, but we're a small market. It's, we're not New York. We don't have that money. And I wish we would keep Frankie. Yeah, because I think he could be the face of the team for a decade. A decade, yeah. But I don't think that they're going to spend that money, and I don't think they can.
They don't have it. They don't have the money for it, and we know that. I mean, we just all know that. So they definitely did protect themselves, by doing this for long-term options. But I win now. I won a World Series. We haven't won anything since 48. I need that.
What this trade showed is that they know that this is their last opportunity, or maybe one of their last opportunities, because if you're able to keep Frankie into the trade deadline next year because he is under control, and you kind of you feel things out how next season goes, but that window they know is closing, and I'm okay if you do a trade that has elements that plan for the future. Last year, and people talked about how, this is typical Indians. Well, I don't need it to be typical Indians.
Yeah.
I don't always need that. And, they've gotten the big bat before in Yasiel Puig or Jay Bruce, or they've given you that already. So why are you upset that they didn't do that this year? Because, again, you could have gotten a big bat to help you this year and still gotten return for a quality starter, a number one on most teams, Cy Young Award.
He's a great number two.
Potential, and a great number two in Mike Clevinger. You could have been able to get another deal like last year where you got Yasiel Puig, thinking may not have him past last season, and Franmil Reyes was that planning for the future, could still help you this year, planning for the future. Josh Naylor, to me, feels more like Franmil, and we missed out on getting that guy to help us for the remaining part of this year. again, you could have still planned for the future. You still could have added to the plethora of shortstops in this organization with this trade. And if we would have recorded the day after, I would have gone on a longer rant on this whole thing. We're past it. I think the Indians are actually in a slightly worse position to win a World Series this year by not going after a bat that can add and extend this lineup, put more fear or more attention to detail by the opposing pitcher. Now you know that this lineup is still front-loaded. You get through those guys, it's almost like easy outs of what we've seen this season in the second half from 6 on down. Naquin has been great. That has been the addition to this team to help us this year has been Tyler Naquin. You gotta hope and knock on wood he stays healthy, but you could have extended that lineup so much more with Naquin in that 6 hole hitting so well. If someone ended up behind him in the 7 that was still dangerous, boy, this team would have been scary on offense and pitching wise too. I know the bullpen's been struggling. Karinchak, the Wild thing has been wild and not pitching well.
Yeah.
But you get that back on track. You still have great starting pitching. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping this offense and Josh Naylor prove me wrong. It's so inconsistent. You could have set the team up to be more consistent. Then it's on them to go execute. And if they don't execute, it's on the players. Front office and ownership would have done all they could. And I feel like they missed an opportunity in that regard. Again, future prospects, great. Where's the big piece?
Yep. Wasn't
there. But that is going to wrap it up. A football exclusive edition of the Voice of the Land podcast, as Paulus will be looking for a special guest co-host next week. I will be out of town next weekend as well. So got our football talk in today with a little seasoning of baseball talk there at the end of the podcast. Really good conversations, and I thought good energy for 8 a.m.
Yeah, pretty good
call there. Peter, enjoy the high school football game today. I'm sure it'll be a great game and great.
Supposed
production.
to be a beautiful day.
And, Yep, beautiful day, and all the great production work Peter does for us. There is, I'm telling you, this production work on these games, like just seeing what's going on, next level, and that's a credit to Peter, CVC, and of course Don Lewis, commissioner of the CVC, and he's going to be promoting that big time, and I can't wait. So it's Voice of the Land at the helm, play-by-play and color commentary next week. But for my brother and future color commentator brethren in the booth, Nick Paulus, and our producer extraordinaire that we can't thank enough every single day, Peter Tellep. I am Kevin Arnold, letting all of you fans know out there, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. Go Browns. Enjoy all the football that's coming. And we love you all. 3,000. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend.